Hi, so I'm making a tutorial for fun. So recently I'm having fun making these mini fan comics. They're amateur, so they're not really that great. But hey, why not make the tutorial? I feel like these little comics are help me practice a little bit so I can know the layout and where to place the bubble and how to draw the character that fits within the bubbles. But like I say, this is amateur, so yeah. So making these type of parody comics is pretty fun, and you don't need to be in depth with the story because it's a parody of the game, and people probably already played the game already. So it's more for the fan base. So yeah. So first thing first is the plot, and the plot is about Kazuha, the new character banner that is a guy, and it's poking fun of the male and female ratio of the game of the gacha game. I mean, it makes sense because I think waifu people buy more, so it makes sense. But I just want to make fun of it because I like to collect husbandos more than waifus, and it's like I'm waiting for so long just to get a character that is a male because so many new waifu come out and I already collect most of the husbandos already. So I'm excited to have this new gameplay playing. So that's pretty much what I'm making fun of. So at first you have to finish writing the script, and then after you finish writing the script, I often put the which dialogue goes to which panel, and then it's like a rough draft, right? So you just zoom, just like think over your head because this is just a mini comic. It's not like a full on manga story. So yeah. So I approach this similar to how I draw. I scribble first. I always scribble when I draw. And it doesn't look anything great, but at least I got something down. So same thing as the comics. I just write whatever comes up my head. And once it's done, I separate each panels and imagine which the pictures, what I'm planning to do in each of the panel, and what those rough dialogue can fit into those panels. So basically just tweaking around, and when you feel like you want to add more stuff, you can just add more stuff. So the script is usually the first thing I usually start with, and I do edit the script after I finish the drawing as well, because sometimes my drawing doesn't match what the script said, right? So it's a lot of back and forth, but always start with the script first or the rough of what you do first because you need a base down. So I put all the comics in one PSD file, and these comics have lots of layers. So I have a line layers, a color character layer, and the background layer. So it's just more easier to do. Sometimes I just merge everything together once I'm done because this is not really an important thing that I do all the time. These are for fun. So here's the line or the layout that I did from the previous comics. So I'm gonna edit it to make it fit into my rough draft that I showed you guys before. So I already know how many panels I need. So this is where you use your creativity. So basically you gotta set everything up to fit how many panels you need, right? And then while you're making it, you might want to add a few more extra pictures if you want, and then that's when you start to tweak the panels a little bit. So you kind of see it what I'm doing here. So basically I'm putting a little more panel because I want to emphasize that Kazuha graciously summoned here. So yeah, so I don't want to go crazy because this is just a mini comic, so it's not really, you shouldn't go overboard on this with how many panels you should put. Simple is always better. So the second step is dialogue. So I placed the dialogue on the panel that is supposed to be assigned to. And it doesn't matter where you place the dialogue in which panel, because it's just there so you can use reference to draw your comic pictures to fit with those dialogues. And while while I'm placing the base dialogue in, I do add some extra dialogue in there while I'm placing it. It's basically improv I guess that is if it's the accurate word to say it. But yes, sometimes your idea sparks when you're doing these comics. Sometimes, so just let it flow, you know. So the fun part is here is the sketching. So I always sketch first. So I just same thing as the dialogue. I just sketch roughly, and so if you sketch roughly, make sure you maybe sometimes you draw the character small. Just resize it in this stage, and just play around with your ugly sketch because these are just as your base, you know. And after that, you sketch again over it with your character with clothing and expression and how you want the expression portray the dialogue, right? So that's the second step, and the third step is for me is just line work. So here's not really important. I just add a picture into my comics because I just felt like it. But I just resize it, rasterize it, and just color it in, like just roughly color the background in to fit the comic panels. So here I'm just gonna sketch, do line art, and then the next step is obviously you need to color it. But the line art takes longer than the rest because this is where most of the planning is. The color is usually the easier thing where you already got everything set already. All you need to do is fill in the colors. So I believe it will take around a minute of this video about all purely rough draft and line work because line work is very long. It took me around a day or two to finish this comic, so yeah. It's not as I make it usually more detailed than it's supposed to be. Usually I think for comics, these type of comics you have to make it simple, and Geisha impact characters are usually very overly detailed too. So yeah. You can skip to the next minute or two to see the full on coloring. So now it's moving to the color. I always do background first. And background is pretty, I usually use the selection tool to do the background so it won't like go through the panel. But yeah, background always go first, and then next up will be the character, which is the one that is the most hardest to color. And after that, you pretty much just edit the dialogue. So this is unexpectedly very long. So basically, for the coloring, if you want to finish all the complete coloring, go over for another minute of this video, and this is where the final step is. So I turn on the text back again because I put it off. I turn it off so I can draw around it because it's hard to draw with text around. And now I'm putting in the dialogue. So the bubbles. I mean the bubbles for the dialogues. So the bubbles, as you can see, some of the dialogue is all over the place. Some is blocking her head. Some is covering the leaf. So this is where you just keep tweaking around to see where the dialogue and the white bubble fits. And it's the white bubble and the dialogue is probably easier to put in Illustrator, but I'm kind of lazy, so I do everything on Photoshop, and my computer is ridiculously slow. So yeah, that's a huge reason why. But so basically how I do the white bubble is just basically doing the circle selection tool and just put a white paint on it, and then I just use selection tool and move the bubbles around. And after I put the bubbles, I put the thing you know, like the thing that connects to the bubble to the character, so you can know which character was talking. I do that right after, because that one is pretty fast to do. So that's pretty much the end of the tutorial. I think it's pretty simple. It just lots of things goes with the flow of what your creativity is. So basically, step one is do rough know. Step one is just know the plot. Yes, know the plot. Step two is write the script of the plot that you want to portray. Step three is organize the script. Put which panel should be in which dialogue in which panel. Step four is since now you know all the panels, to draw the panels itself and place it into an order that you think it's fitting. Step 5 is place all your base dialogue into the paper and place them on the panel it's assigned to, so you can know a very rough idea of what you need to draw. Step 6 is sketch out and draw the characters that fits within your dialogue. Step 7, I think. Step 7 is to sketch and do line work and then color the background first. So the background is important to make the art look pretty, but you can add a simple background. I feel like some mini comic does that, just simple background. And after you finish coloring the background, you color the characters, and then after you color the characters, you turn on your text, and you gonna adjust your bubble and your dialogue to go around the picture, because maybe the dialogue go over the girl head, so you have to adjust a lot of stuff around, and maybe you want to add more dialogue in too. So that's pretty much the last steps, and that's pretty much it for the tutorial. Hope it's not too confusing, and thank you for watching.